Hello everyone and welcome back to my YouTube channel. In case this is your first time, this is Kimberly Mitchell. I am your host. I also have a podcast named Kimberly T Inspires. I have a website, kimtspeak.org. And you can also find there my past devotionals from my podcast and just some helpful, valuable information. Normally on my YouTube channel, I usually talk about the wigs, the lace wigs that I put on for those who have alopecia or suffer from hair loss, and who kind of worried about their hair shifting or anything like that. Like, this is not totally glued on. You know, because people with alopecia, we kind of like struggle with the fact, or we are self-conscious when the weather is not so nice, you know? We worry about it shifting and things like that. So I talked about getting it custom made and finding wigs that actually fit. Today I want to talk to you about, I ran into my ex. And my ex, I don't know whether he thought it was like an honorary badge, but he told me that how I saved his life. And my response was, that's funny, because all I remember dealing with you was that my confidence was like shattered. I felt like I had to compete all the time, that I was never good enough. And oh no, you know, try to explain it, and to me, it does not sound like a badge of honor. Being a ride or die chick is not a badge of honor, okay? A ride or die chick, those are the ones that don't know who they are. So they're actually staying in relationships with people who are not seeing them as worthy. And because I was broke and lost, that he was broke and lost, and what I wanted to receive from him, I was giving away. And I've learned that over time, as I got a little bit younger, that being validated, trying to be validated by me, whether it's female, male, you definitely always will be disappointed. Material things, you'll be disappointed. I actually wrote about it in my book, Finding Love and Healing in the Pain. It's available on Amazon and Barnes & Noble, the electronic copies, and also on my website, actually. So if you want to support a Black author, please purchase from their website, okay? You may not get it in Amazon Prime Time, but you will get a specialized message from me when you purchase, okay? Back to what I was talking about. So on page 106 in my book, I talked about being validated. And I put a scripture there. I have it on my wall too, but you can't see that. It says from Psalm 139 verse 14. It is also from the NLT version. Thank you for making me wonderfully complex. Your workmanship is marvelous. How well I know it. Then I didn't. And people were like, well, what did your parents teach you? How come your parents didn't tell you was good enough or you was worthy enough? Yeah. Half of the stuff that I've been through, my parents didn't know about until I'm 30. Till I was like, 30. And I just say, oh, I would never be like that. Oh, I would never do that. There's a lot of grown adults, grown kids, who still blame their parents for something that their parents have no clue about. I used to love to write. Well, there was a point where I loved to write when I was younger. Then I stopped. Then I picked it back up again. During that time when I stopped, that was the most crucial time of my life. Because when I was writing, I expressed myself. Everything that was in my heart, I let out onto a piece of paper. I was most vulnerable. Until I learned to find my voice, the way I could speak things out instead of just writing it. And I'm glad I did that. I'm glad I was able to listen to what my ex had to say, because I realized back then that girl, that young little girl, that who probably I wish I could speak to all the time, and if she's listening to in this video, that you are worthy. You don't need to be validated by men. things, okay, there's nothing in the world that could validate you and make you feel secure as God can. All right? And in my book, when I was writing about it, I referenced the woman at the well. And a lot of people will not admit that sometimes they feel like her, because she does not seem like the most holy woman of them all in the Bible. She had 5 husbands, and people laugh and giggle and snicker about it. Deep down inside, they know that they are that woman right there. 5 husbands. Now let's talk about what does a husband, what's a husband? A husband is a protector. He's a provider. He's supposed to be like a safe place, a refuge for women, for his household. So imagine, okay, if you will, if you make things like your husband, and that doesn't work out for you. Husband number 1, your cars. Husband number 2, your house. Husband number 3, your children. Husband number 4, your spouse. Husband number 5, your job. You are not going to find fulfillment until you find it in God. Until you actually seek Him and God tells you that you are fearfully and wonderfully made. You are so complex. All of those things that He placed in you, you are stronger than you know. It took a while to get there. Whatever you was getting from me, I was seeking from you, but you couldn't give it to me. But I already had it in me. That's the thing. That's the thing. It's already in you. So you don't have to be validated by anything else or anybody else, because it's already in you. Validated and vindicated. God has already done that for you. But for me to say, when I said those words, I realized, wow, I gave you too much power. That's too much power for any person to have over you. You allowed it. I allowed you to minimize my word. No, sweetie, can't nobody do that. Once you know about who you are in God, can't nobody take that away from you. But that's all I wanted to say. I'm going to place the book link in the description box of the sermon by Reverend Awani. Thank you guys. Y'all have a good day. Bye.
So this morning I'm coming from 1 Corinthians 12:13, where it says, "For now we see only a reflection as in a mirror, then we shall see face to face. Now I know in a part, then I shall know fully, even as I am fully known." And my supporting scripture is, just to go back one, is 1 Corinthians 13:11, where it says, "When I was a child, I talked like a child, I thought like a child, I reasoned like a child, and when I became a man, in this sense, a woman, I out the ways of childhood behind me." So this time it actually resonated with me, because I'm not speaking to you this morning. I'm actually looking in the webcam and I'm talking to myself this morning. It's not simple to just come up and preach anytime, but this morning I'm coming to you with a heart of feeling lost, feeling like you failed the world or you failed God and you don't know where else to turn. So if we had a chance, if everyone had a phone with them and they had a selfie moment, I need everyone to put their selfie mode on and to look at yourself. As I preached this morning, I need you to go back to when you woke up this morning, you brushed your teeth and you looked in the mirror, and what did you see? Did you see yourself or did you see God? Did you look in the mirror and you saw what you can possibly be, the best that you can be? Did you look at yourself and did you see that everything was wrong, or did you see that God was working in you and building you and molding you to be the best that you can be? I found a letter that I wrote to God, because I used to write in my journal that Sister Kim gave me, and it used to give me all my expressions. And I wrote to God saying, "Dear God, I can no longer do this anymore. I can no longer accept you are not being there for me. I can no longer take life beating me up daily. I can no longer lift my head to you and let you see me failing day after day. I can no longer look at my body for it's ugly, it's sloppy, it's not that perfect body that you want it to be. It's not what you designed me to be. God, I am tired. I cannot do this more. I am in darkness. But God, I don't have the way to pay the bill after bill. I can never get ahead. I can no longer set me walking around feeling as the world does not care for me. I can no longer set me feeling like a failure. God, I appreciate you, but I am no longer accepting me feeling this weight on my shoulder called life. God, I am done. Signed, your lost child. Have you ever reflected at a point where it was like, where am I? What am I to do next, God? Have you ever sat there and you said, God, what's next? In the pandemic, I look at these young children and they have lost their way. They have lost a way of finding out what is in front of them, or they found out that, was there a God walking with me ever in this time? I have young children going to school in a sense of being high because there's no parents at home to manage them. I have young children finding out what their bodies are because there was nobody to guide them. I have young women looking less of themselves instead of being more of themselves because there was no guidance when they looked in the mirror. Was it because the reflection of who they are missing, or was it the reflection that God is not in them? So I took a moment and I breathed, and I felt like this mirror, it's almost like what's the Disney, help me out. It's mirror, mirror on the wall. What is it? Snow White. They're in the church helping me out. Snow White, when they say mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the fairest one of them all? And I could not pick out, was it me? When in reality, it's me all along, but I had God in me. I talked to myself in the mirror and I wiped the mirror clean. If you ever saw TikTok, they would wipe it and they were a mess, and then they wiped it again, and then there was some beauty found in them. I wanted to be that TikTok story, but I could not find that person. I could only find that lost child, that lost person I wrote years ago. And recently, I'm going to be honest, that person came back to the forefront of me feeling like I'm in a dark space, in a dark world. In John 1, it says, the light shines in darkness and the darkness has not overcome it. Simply just stating that you are light, that you can walk in the darkness that there shall be. So I thought about this reflection again, and I said, okay, if I clean the mirror one more time, maybe God, I'll see you again. But yet days went on and I prayed and I tried to worship, and the worship lacked only because there was no God in me for the moment. So I think when I thought about this message, God wrote back to me and he said, I am you and you are me. And I laughed and I said, well, how can this be? If I am you and you are me, then why do I feel like I'm lost, or I need a GPS system just to find you in the mirror that stands before me? Stop speaking to young Kelly and realize what's presently in front of me. I've been washed of all my sins. I'm white as snow, but my imperfections constantly battles with me of how can I be perfect in who God sees me to be? But he reminds me once again is I am you and you are me. So just relax, Kelly, and be me.